The story begins with Arthur Bishop, a highly skilled assassin who lives alone on a boat by the sea. His life is quiet, controlled, and carefully planned. One morning he wakes up, drinks his coffee, and steps outside. Before leaving, he activates a hidden bomb on his boat, his way of making sure no one tries to steal or mess with it. After that, he rides his bike to a restaurant he visits often. The staff already know him, and the waiter seats him at his usual spot near the ocean. Everything feels normal until a woman suddenly sits down across from him. She doesn't waste time. She tells him she's been looking for him for a long time. Then she reveals the reason her boss wants him to kill 3 people, but it has to look like accidents, clean and untraceable. She knows exactly who Arthur is and what he's capable of. For someone like him, this kind of job isn't impossible. Then things take a darker turn. She threatens him. If he refuses, she'll go to the police and expose him, tell them that he's still alive. Because in the past, Arthur faked his own death to escape and disappear. Arthur stays calm, but he notices something important. The woman isn't alone. There are other people around, quietly watching him. Without reacting, he pulls out his phone and takes a picture of her. That's when everything explodes. The woman quickly tries to pull out a gun, but Arthur is faster. He attacks her instantly, not giving her a chance to react. Seeing this, the men with her jump in to fight him, but they underestimated him. In just moments, Arthur takes them down one by one with perfect precision. Every move is sharp, controlled, and deadly. For him, this isn't panic, it's routine. Within seconds, the fight is over, and Arthur proves once again why he's one of the best at what he does. Then, Arthur notices more trouble. More armed men are coming up from below to catch him. Without wasting a second, he jumps off the wall and grabs onto a moving cable car, hanging mid-air to escape. The woman, along with her men, immediately chases after him and gets inside the cable car, searching for him. But Arthur isn't inside. He's already climbed on top of the roof. The woman realizes this and starts firing at the roof, trying to hit him. But at the last second, Arthur jumps off and lands safely onto a parachute below, escaping once again. That night, when he returns to his boat, he senses something is wrong. As he gets closer, he sees 2 men already waiting there. Without hesitation, Arthur pulls out his phone and triggers the bomb he had set earlier, blowing up the entire boat along with the intruders. After that, he heads to a docking area where boats arrive and depart. There, he opens a box and burns all his passports and important documents, erasing his identity completely. Soon after, Arthur travels to an island in Thailand, where he meets a woman named May. She owns a hotel on the island. May takes him to a private room where Arthur accesses a hidden compartment and pulls out a bag filled with multiple phones, weapons, and fake passports. Using those resources, he starts digging into the identity of the woman who approached him earlier. He discovers that she actually works for a man named Crane, the real mastermind behind all of this. At the same time, another girl named Gina arrives at the hotel and meets the owner, May. She asks for some medicines. While helping her, May notices several deep bruises and marks on Gina's arm, as if she has been badly beaten. Concerned, May tries to help her further, but Gina refuses. She insists she only needs the medicines and then quietly leaves, hiding whatever pain she's going through. That same night, May notices something disturbing out in the ocean, a boat where a man is brutally beating a girl. Without wasting time, she rushes to Arthur and begs him to help. Arthur heads straight to the boat. As he steps in, he calls out to the man, telling him if he's a real man, he should let the girl go. The girl turns out to be Gina, but the man doesn't listen. Instead, he pulls out a gun. That's his biggest mistake. Within seconds, Arthur takes him down, beating him badly and killing him without hesitation. After that, he tells May to take Gina back safely. Once they leave, Arthur searches the boat and finds Gina's passport and phone. But something catches his attention. His own photo is inside her phone. Now things start to make sense. He blows up the boat to erase all evidence and returns to the hotel. Back there, he confronts Gina directly. He asks her why his picture is in her phone and whether she's working for Crane. Gina, scared and shaken, finally tells the truth. She says Crane has been threatening her. Everything that has happened so far was part of his plan to make sure she gets close to Arthur. Her job was simple: meet Arthur, call a number, and that's it, her role would be over. But the reason she agreed is far more serious. Gina reveals that she takes care of orphan children, kids who were rescued from trafficking. Crane used this against her. He threatened to kill those children if she didn't follow his orders. As Arthur listens, he looks out and notices something else: a nearby island, heavily guarded, with multiple armed men watching the area closely. It's clear that Crane's network is bigger and more dangerous than it seemed. Arthur turns back to Gina and calmly tells her the next step. From now on, she has to act like she's getting close to him, like they're building trust. It all has to look real so Crane doesn't suspect anything. Arthur goes along with the plan, and before moving forward, he apologizes to Gina for dragging her into all of this. But the truth is, he doesn't have another option. As they spend more time together, Arthur opens up about his past. He tells her that he understands her pain because he was an orphan too. When he was young, both he and Crane were bought by a gangster. Arthur somehow managed to escape, but Crane couldn't. Instead, Crane was punished, treated like a criminal, and left to suffer. That's where everything changed. From that point on, Crane grew up filled with anger and hatred for the world. Now, to get Gina out of this nightmare, Arthur makes a plan. Before they part, he gives her his watch as a signal, a small but important sign of trust. But the next day, things go wrong. Crane's men kidnap Gina. Arthur immediately calls Crane and challenges him directly. When they finally come face to face, Arthur warns him to let Gina go. He tells him she's innocent and doesn't deserve any of this. Crane, however, has other plans. He says he'll release Gina, but only if Arthur completes 3 assassinations: cold-blooded, precise, and just the way Arthur is known for. The first target is a dangerous warlord from Africa, currently locked inside one of the most secure prisons in the world. Then Crane adds another condition. He forces Arthur to swallow a GPS tracker so his men can monitor him at all times. Arthur demands proof that Gina is still alive, and Crane agrees to one thing after each mission. Arthur will be allowed to speak to her on the phone, and once all 3 jobs are done, she'll be set free. With no choice left, Arthur begins his mission. He gathers information and discovers that the prison holding his target is located in the middle of the ocean, surrounded by shark-infested waters. On top of that, the facility is protected by massive cliffs almost 100 meters high, making it nearly impossible to enter. For anyone else, it would be an impossible mission. But Arthur isn't just anyone. After this, Arthur starts gathering intel on different gangsters and identities. He finally picks one man with a distinct tattoo on his face and carefully recreates his entire look, appearance, style, everything. Once the disguise is ready, he buys all the equipment he'll need for the mission. The next day, he deliberately walks around in public, knowing exactly what will happen. The police mistake him for that gangster and arrest him, sending him straight to the same high-security prison where his target is locked up. Inside the prison, Arthur quickly observes the situation. His target is always surrounded by 4 or 5 guards. A fellow inmate tells him the man's name is Krill, a dangerous criminal who once assassinated the president of Liberia. Many prisoners have already tried to kill him, but none succeeded. When Krill is attacked again by other inmates, Arthur steps in and saves his life. Grateful, Krill thanks him and even invites him to share a meal. That's exactly what Arthur wanted. When the time comes, Arthur meets him and executes his plan perfectly. He poisons the food, making it look like Krill died from eating something toxic. No suspicion, no chaos, just a clean accident. But Arthur isn't done yet. He immediately triggers an explosion in the prison wall to create an escape route. Before jumping into the ocean, he sprays his entire body with a special chemical that keeps sharks away and dives into the water, disappearing into the sea. Meanwhile, a message reaches the boat captain confirming that Arthur has completed the mission. Crane's men track his location and pick him up from the ocean. Soon after, Arthur gets a chance to talk to Gina on the phone. She tells him he now has only 36 hours for the next target. The second target is a man named Adrian Cook, billionaire involved in human trafficking. Reaching him won't be easy. He lives in Australia, on the 58th floor of a heavily secured building. The place is almost impossible to break into. Bulletproof walls, reinforced doors and windows, motion sensors everywhere, and fingerprint-based security systems. Arthur studies the building carefully. Then he buys the apartment right below Cook's floor. From there, he secretly copies the keys and creates an exact replica of the layout, preparing every detail for his next move. Next, Arthur prepares for the second hit. He builds small, glass-shattering bombs and disguises himself as a cleaning worker to get inside the building. From there, he hangs outside the window, carefully makes his way up to Adrian's apartment, reaching the private swimming pool area. Quietly, he plants the explosives in the pool. When Adrian arrives and steps in for a swim, Arthur triggers the blast. The explosion throws Adrian off balance, sending him crashing down to his death. Once again, it looks like a tragic accident, exactly how Arthur works. Soon after, Gina calls him again, but this time she does something smart. She secretly shows him the registration number of the boat where she's being held captive. Using that clue, Arthur tracks the location and heads there by helicopter. He fights his way through several armed men, taking them down one by one and getting closer to Gina. But things don't go as planned. Despite his efforts, Arthur is eventually captured. Crane meets him again and gives him a final warning. He says this is the last time he's letting it slide, but if Arthur tries anything like this again, Gina will be killed, and it will be entirely his fault. Now, only one mission remains. The final target is Max Adams, a man hiding in the United States. He's located in a highly secure facility built on top of a mountain, essentially a military-grade zone filled with hidden weapons and missiles. The place is heavily guarded, and getting in or out unnoticed is nearly impossible. Anyone who tries usually doesn't make it out alive. Arthur has just 48 hours to finish the job. He learns that Max has requested a helicopter. Using this, Arthur comes up with a risky plan. He hides beneath the helicopter itself to gain access to the facility. The plan works. Once inside, he disables all the cameras, throwing the entire place into chaos. Guards rush to secure Max and move him to a protected room. But before they can lock everything down, Arthur blows up the elevator, creating confusion and blocking their path. Even then, Max somehow manages to reach the safe room. But this is where Arthur reveals his real move. He was never planning to kill Max. Instead, Arthur teams up with him. Together, they fake Max's death to fool Crane. The idea is simple. When Crane's men come looking for proof, they'll believe Max is dead. And once Crane feels safe and alone, Arthur will finally get the chance to take him out. They execute the plan perfectly. An explosion is staged, making it look like Max is gone for good. In reality, Arthur secretly rescues him from the chaos and takes him away by sea, hiding him safely on a remote island, setting up the final phase of his revenge. In the final move, Arthur calls Crane and tells him to release Gina. But Crane doesn't trust him. He demands proof. He wants to see Max's dead body first. Arthur stays calm and tells him the body is inside his submarine. Crane takes the bait. He sends his men to inspect the submarine, unaware that Arthur has already prepared a deadly trap. trap. The entire place is rigged with explosives. As soon as Crane's men arrive, Arthur ambushes them, taking them down with precise gunfire and triggering chaos all around. Crane watches everything through his cameras. Now there's no turning back. Arthur heads straight to Crane's boat. One by one, he eliminates all the guards, clearing his path. In the middle of the chaos, Gina gets caught in the crossfire and is shot. At the same time, Crane activates a bomb planted on the boat. With no time left, Arthur rushes to Gina, frees her, and quickly places her inside a safety escape pod, a detachable box designed to separate from the boat before an explosion. He launches it just in time, sending her away from danger. Then comes the final showdown. Arthur confronts Crane face to face. After a brutal fight, he manages to overpower him and chains him down, making sure there's no escape. Seconds later, the bomb goes off, engulfing the entire boat in a massive explosion. Gina survives, drifting safely away in the escape pod. Later, Max's men recover the wreckage from the ocean, assuming no one could have survived such a blast, but they're wrong. Sometime later, Gina is back with the children she protects, trying to move on from everything, and then, out of nowhere, Arthur appears right in front of her, alive. The truth is, Arthur had hidden himself inside a reinforced steel emergency room on the boat, a place designed to withstand extreme situations. That's how he survived the explosion. And just like that, he disappears from death once again, proving that legends like him don't go down so easily.